I don't know. I don't.
One game under his belt.
Yeah. So I don't know that they did a lot of things. Meaning, I know you just said that. Look, certainly the experience each week. You're going to have growth from a young player.
Coach, Mike said yesterday that they're trending towards Justin. Do you look at, so if it ends up being Justin, do you look at his film with the Bears? Do you look at what Arthur was calling in Atlanta? Do you look at last year?
I think. Look, you study closely the game that just played. Obviously, preseason. You study the Atlanta cut-ups, and then you understand the skill set that he has relative to. You're covering. You might look at the quarterback run package in Chicago, where they went up and played really well against New England after a tough loss on a Thursday night, and he played exceptionally well. A lot of QB run, design runs. So, you're kind of taking all of that into your cut-up consideration.
Coach, speaking of Coach Tomlin, you and him are in a small fraternity of coaches that have been head coaches for over a decade in the league right now. You're 3-0 against him when you guys have gone head-to-head. Do you guys have a friendly rivalry going on?
No, I would say we're friendly, though. I consider him one of my probably, as you do this long enough, pretty soon you're not as familiar with the other coaches maybe that are getting hired, but he's a good friend, and he's obviously a heck of a football coach, and obviously we didn't play a lot because I was in the NFC, he was in the AFC, so but he's done a great job there for a long period of time, and the most impressive thing you would say is his body of work. We like to use that term. His body of work is really impressive.
What's the challenge going up against T.J. Watt, and how does he compare to maybe some of the guys you had to game plan against in your career?
Yeah, I don't get into naming who the top defensive players are, but he's in that discussion. He's certainly disruptive in the run game, disruptive in the pass game. Each film you look at, he's beaten doubles. He's very athletic. I think he's very strong, and he can bend, and those are all good traits to have. He's exceptionally smart.
How did you think Bo did, Coach, at the line of scrimmage? Did you put responsibility on the quarterback?
There were some. Yeah, I thought when we did, he did a good job. When there were run or kills or pass checks, he was fine there.
And operationally, play coming in, was that?
I think overall it went pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, overall I think that went pretty well. We weren't. Every time we've always had a wristband with long plays, even. With guys that with Drew, and there's certain times, and it's not so much the quarterback reading it, it's me reading it that takes up 4 seconds. Then he reads it. So there's 8. I'm talking about but we try to, and really look at reducing the verbiage. But overall, the operation went smooth.
Sean, what was Garrett's participation today?
Not listed. Again, he wasn't out here. That report will come out.
You'll ask him this after the game, but how do you kind of pick what things can be fixed or worked on immediately versus what are longer-term things that you kind of grow to
Well, I think
work on?
you'll watch that tape 2 or 3 times, and there's not one specific thing. The thing that I continue to like is obviously his movement skills, and obviously it became a much more difficult game when we were in these 3rd and long. So I think even for some of the more experienced quarterbacks, we've got to be better on our early downs.
Coach, since Russ hasn't been ruled out for this game, are you preparing for both guys? Want Fields more? How do you handle
Yeah, I think you look at Fields last week, and then obviously, you prepare for both, and both guys have different strengths, and so you have a plan for both, but certainly it starts with Fields.
Did the year that you spent, Russell, does that help you think about what they may or may not try to do?
No, I don't think so. I mean that. I think anytime you have a new system, new coordinator, I don't think there's really much to that.
Is there anything to spend any time with you guys just in the sense, I mean, he was a captain, he'll be emotional in the building or whatever if he's back. Did you talk about it at all with you guys this week or no?
No. No, I mean, we're focused on, look, we're not playing tennis or golf. I mean, we're playing a team game, and we're focused on the Steelers, and they're a good football team.
In terms of beefing up the running tag, do you consider maybe giving some more snaps to estimate? Do you even look at Blake Watson as a candidate to play, or how do you?
Well, there's
that?
there's a lot that goes into if Blake comes up, then who goes down. Yeah, we'll have a good plan relative to our run game.
Sean, Zach Allen, who played all but 2 defensive snaps. In your experience, a guy at that size, at that position, playing almost an entire game, is that pretty unique?
Yeah, and total pitch count, though, was pretty down for both sides. So, but he is someone that is in good shape. There are certain players that have that stamina. But I think in a longer game with more snaps, I think then it becomes a little bit more challenging.
So, Sean, from a pass rush standpoint, where is your impressions on the defense on that?
Yeah, look, it was 2 halves really, right? It was the first half and then the second half. We lost contain and we gave up a scramble touchdown in the second half. A pretty good chunk run for Geno. So there's certain things that we're going to be able to coach off of, things that we liked, and then other things that we have to improve on.
You talked after the game about telling the receivers, hey, let's go, let's make some plays. Specific to yards after catch, is that a combination of the quarterback and receiver, or do you?
Yeah,
Is that the receiver? How do you look at that stat?
Look, I think number one, there are some receivers, tight ends, or running backs that are very good. So we look at that when we grade them coming out of college. So there are some players that are very good with rack. And then a lot of it is, again, in those favorable down and distances, when you're going against a little bit more coverage in some of the shell looks, the zone, then it becomes maybe more problematic. But certainly it's something we pay attention to.
Bo was the second fastest ball carrier in the NFL on one of his runs this week. Is he even faster than maybe you thought?
Well, I think I said that early in training camp. We didn't have some of the numbers metrics wise. I mean, we had the catapult numbers from college that suggested all of that. But we didn't have the shuttles. We didn't have the 40. And I think he was dealing with a toe at the time and really didn't want to maybe put something on tape that wasn't his best. But yeah, look, he can run and he can avoid. So those are traits that'll serve him well.
Did you have a common denominator on red zone? Obviously on 0-3. Was there something similar with one, or was it just sort of circumstantial?
Say it again.
In the red zone, 0-3, was there a common denominator?
Great question. We had a penalty on the first drive. The first down efficiency wasn't good. So I would say, again, getting back to the first and second down would be the common denominator. Putting ourselves in a much better position if we even get into third down.
Sean, I know I asked you this last year about guys that played on other teams, previous teams. So with Levi Wallace, do you spend any time at all, or the receivers talk?
Oh, you might, when it comes, so it's a fair question because they're running the same defense. You might ask them about fire zone rules or certain coverage rules, indicators. That would be much more relevant than having coached a player that's with another team, and so it kind of comes up week to week, right? I mean, in other words, it's not uncommon to have players that were on our roster that are going to be on an opponent's roster, and so you get some, but not a lot. Thank you.